Good morning, YouTube friends, or good evening, afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. We're going to be making some sourdough biscuits today, which I'm really excited about. So follow along, and I'm going to link the recipe below so that you guys have the full recipe and instructions. So I'm just starting out cubing up my butter, and I'm going to set it aside in a bowl while I do the rest of the work here. So I'm just putting my flour into my bowl. Like I said, the full recipe will be linked below with all of the quantities. So yeah, we're just getting all the dry ingredients in. So flour, and then I think a couple tablespoons of sugar. Going in with some salt and baking powder. And then we're just going to mix to combine all those dry ingredients. All right, next thing we're gonna do is get the cubed butter into the dry mixture and cut the butter in. So I have like a pastry cutter. This is specifically to cut butter into your flour. If you don't have this, that is totally fine. You can use 2 forks, or if you have a food processor, you can do that. The goal is to get a texture of like little pea-sized butter balls, basically, into your flour. So once you get to that texture, we're going to go in with the wet ingredients. So we've got milk and, of course, the sourdough discard. This is a discard recipe, but if you do want your biscuits to be fermented, you can do that. You would just put this mixture away in the fridge for about 24 hours for the sourdough to break down and ferment. So last wet ingredient is an egg, and then we're just going to mix to combine. We're not going to stir too harshly. We don't want to melt the butter in, so we're just mixing it until it's like a shaggy ball, and then I'm going to turn it out onto a lightly floured surface. And then I just kind of put it into a little ball just to make it all uniform. And then, so as to not melt the butter with our hands, we're going to go in with our bench scraper. I had to think about that for a second. With the bench scraper to kind of fold the dough onto itself to combine it more thoroughly. So as you can see here, we're getting it to a texture where everything is pretty well combined, and we're about ready to roll this out. So once it's all combined, get it into a little square and start rolling it out. As you can see, I started getting some stickage onto my rolling pin. What I could have done is put this dough into my fridge for a little bit to get it back to a cool temperature, because it was hot this day when I was making this. So if it is warm in your house, put it into the fridge for a little bit so that it doesn't stick onto your rolling pin. But like you guys just saw, I rolled it out and then I folded it into thirds and then rolled it out again. And this is what's going to create the really nice layers in your biscuits. So I would do this about 5-6 times so that you get a good amount of layers in your biscuits. Okay, and then I rolled out one final time, and this is where we are going to cut our biscuits. You can use a biscuit cutter, or a cookie cutter, I guess, the nice circular shapes. I don't have that, so I just used my bench scraper to cut it into mostly squares, I guess a couple triangles, whatever, it doesn't have to be perfect. All the while, I was preheating a cast iron pan in the oven at 425, and then for the last couple minutes of preheating, I put 2 tablespoons of butter into the cast iron to brown. This just gives it a nice flavor. And I couldn't fit all of my biscuits into my cast iron, but that's okay. These actually freeze really well. I already tested this out, so I froze a few and then put them and then took them out, thawed them, and baked them again, and they came out the exact same. So this dough is really good to freeze as well. So took those out of the oven when they were golden brown after about 15 to 18 minutes, and they turned out really nice and tasty. So again, link into the description. Thank you guys so much for watching.